basically, he was like slacking on dishes, and then me and the person we're going through a rush, and then like you know we're just doing what we're supposed to do, joking, trying to get through this rush fast as possible. Then we're like, all right, it's a little too much people, so we're like, oh, go get him. He's like, oh, he's not back there. So I'm like, bro, this dude really on a smoke break, and we up here like he didn't even check or anything. Goes outside, we can't find him. We're looking around. Like I go out the other guy went outside, and I'm just doing orders. Then I was like, let me look. I went outside. I was scanning. Like when I found him, I was ready to throw hands, my guy. Turns out he walks out. Then he comes back. So we're like, okay, yeah, he's fired. Blah blah blah. So the next week's schedule was already made. So I'm like, oh, just because this is homeboy's like first week back. So I'm like, oh yeah, so you can just take his hours because obviously he's fired. First of all, to lead into this, basically every time I worked, it'd always be, especially on a Monday, it'd always be a person talking about something, I can't make it. Why do you still have a job if you can't make it every single week? You're scheduled like 3 times a week, and you don't make it 2 times of your scheduled times, and you do that basically every week. So I'm like, alright. Well, you can have his hours. This man had like 36 hours. Well, you just talk to her. She probably just give you his hours. Next thing you know, he walks in. He's like, oh, let me get my hat, blah, blah, blah. Like he had a hat like that he left. Not like the company hat, but just like a snapback or some shit. So then, the next day, because I think he walked out on a Saturday, and then I was saying, oh, you could, get his hours on a Sunday. And then Monday, because I worked Saturday through Monday. So on Monday, there was like, oh, yeah, I talked to him, blah, blah, blah. And he said, yo, we're joking around, blah, blah, blah. We were joking and working. What were you doing? You're back there turning. Like, I literally looked behind, and you were just up there listening to the music, turning up. I'm like, nigga, wash the dishes, bitch. So I'm like, all right, bet. Like, I'm done with this at this point. Like, this is nothing to me. So I'm like, all right, next time I have to close with him, I'm just gonna like, cause I was done with all the hypocritical stuff. Y'all seen the shit that I talked about in the how I got fired video. It was just that times 10 when I came back, and so I was like, next time I close with him, I'm gonna wait till it gets busy, and walk out. And I'm upset because it was a perfect opportunity. First of all, there's like 3 people who were supposed to work that day, and then they all didn't come. They didn't show up. Pause on that. And then there was a new manager, so I was like, well, I don't feel guilty about walking out on the manager because I have no type of relationship with them. Pause on that. And then we get a line. So I'm like, all right, bet. Every day I have to change. Like, it is what it is. When I work, I change. Like, soon as we close, I change. So I change on the clock. Walk back. I wrote a note. I don't want to show it because it says the company's name, and even though the district manager got fired, it says his name, but still, and it says the vice president's name and all types of shit, because they actually came to the place. But so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna leave this note, and then I'm gonna go out there and cause a scene. So when I finally walk back out there, a manager comes back because she's like, oh, I'm gonna be back at this time. So I'm like, no, she's like, oh, like she opened, and then she was like, oh, I have to go get this, and I'm gonna be back, and then leave. And so I'm like, no, just leave, like, cause you're gonna be here, and they're probably gonna be like, stay longer, cause he left. I come back out, like I recorded it too. I came back out, and you can see me stop after walking through the back door, walking like through the door, and cause I like see her, and I'm like, what are you doing here? And then so I was just like, all right. And then when I walk back out there, I see her, and then I look up, and the line is gone, and I was upset because, like, most of those people were takeout, so they didn't like no one really heard my scene. There's like 2 tables, and I was like, all right, I'm done with this job. It was nice knowing y'all, and I walked out. And then the general manager, she wanted me banned from the premises. And you know what's crazy is the job in between those, I can't go to that place anymore because, well, kind of. I refuse to go back to a job that I've worked at, so I can't go back to that location, which is not even my closest location. The second closest location, there'd be like bugs flying around and shit. And then the third location, the GM who was at that one, she works there as a manager now, and I'm like, you look like you spit in food. So I had to avoid her until I got my food. Cause what you not go like you come up to me and to my table and spit on my food, you get a slap. Listen, I don't hit females, but you get an RKO'd on the table. Let me hold on. Let me make sure it's not going to. Okay, cool. But yeah, and you know what's strange is the job that I'm working at now. When I left, almost slipped up and said the name. My first job, when I went back to it, so basically, I knew my mom was gonna be in my head heavy about like, like gotta get this job, get a new job, and I'm like, bruh, or like, oh, do this job. What do I look like? Excuse me. What do I look like applying to like some BS like some place I'm already knowing I'm gonna like quit 2 days in. And then like literally it'll just waste time, cause that time that I'm doing the interview I could be doing another interview. The time I'm doing training I could be doing another interview or applying. The time I'm working I know I'm not gonna be here for a while, I could be applying or doing an interview. But yeah, so I was like, I can't go home, so I was like, I called my friend, I was like, hey yo, can you like, can I like, chill at your house until like, like 11, which is around the time I'll be coming home. And then he was like, oh, I'm at the gym real quick, blah, blah, I'll be back at like, let's say I left at 2, he said like 5. So I went up to the mall, I chilled for a few hours riding, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, oh, I'm at the job that I'm at now. And I was like, alright, bet. And that was the first time, like, it's a big place. The job I'm at now, like, you heard about it. There's no way you haven't heard about it. So, like, I'm like, oh, I've never been there, blah, blah, blah. Pull up there, and it's the same one I work at now. And, damn, that's crazy how that works. But, yeah, and then that's job number 1 and 2. Now number 3, there's 2 more, no 4 more. What? 1, 2, 3 more I meant. So the next one, it's a like, what is it called? It's a company that does inventory. Well basically, this is my worst job by far. And basically when we started working, she was like, do you want mornings or nights? I don't remember which one I said, but I said one of them. So, the first time I'm working, it was on that BS. And it's like, you have to, like, so say imagine going to like Walmart or something, right? And you pick up a shirt. Imagine imagine the percentage of how many of those shirts don't have a tag. It gotta be around 50, right? Well, every time there's a thing that doesn't have a tag, you can't just, be like, oh, this shirt is the same, scan it. No. You have to call out someone from the store and be like, oh yeah, what's this one? Okay, type down the numbers. You can blow me. You have to catch me. I'm not going. So we gonna get to that in a minute. We gonna put those to the sides. So first we did a little clothing store at a mall. And then, now we're about to get to where we're at. We did Kmart. Now, leading up to Kmart, everyone's talking about like Target is like, you will be there for like, you will be there for the longest. Like, people who've been there is like, bruh, like, hey, I'm calling out that day. I'm not showing up that day. And so, Kmart, we got there at 6 a.m. And first of all, what you do is you drop, like, this was one of those, but like, basically every location wasn't less than like 35 minutes away. So, you could either drive, like, if it's like an hour less, you're driving there basically. Actually no, it wasn't like that. But it's like you'll drive up to the office, which is already like 30 minutes for me, and then get in a bus and then drive to the location.